What is up, guys? Are you excited? You know why? Because I'm excited. We are on part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We are on part 10, you guys. That means we've officially run out of fingers to represent what part we're on. So I'm going to have to get very creative in the next tutorial. But these are the kind of problems I like to face. All right, how am I going to represent 11? If you guys got any ideas, put them down in the comments below. Other than that, check it out. We are at 39%. We were working and talking about some spending a day at the supermarket, and we figured out in some better ways how to use lists and dictionaries. So let's continue on this thing. We've completed this part 30%. String looping. So just like Python list and dictionary loops, you can loop through strings. Here is an example. I'm going to take this, paste it here. For letter in Codecademy, I can say print letter. I will run it, and you can see that it's going to print out C the first time, O the next time, D the next time, and E, and so on and so forth, as you can see here. What happens? Well, the first time letter is C, and so it prints out a C. Then the next time the letter is O, and therefore letter is O here, and it prints out an O to the screen, which you see right below the C. And it keeps going all the way to the Y. It prints out the Y, and then it understands automatically that we have reached the limit. We have reached the last letter in the string, and so therefore it stops. Got it? Awesome. So that is looping in a string. Pretty simple, pretty nice. So they have this here. Word programming is fun for letter in Word, which means that we loop through the string. Programming is fun. If the letter is I, we print out the letter. So here we only print out something if the letter is I. So let's check out how this bad boy works. Word programming is fun. Here we're using the variable word. You can also put the string here, but that would be a little stupid, and the reason is because we've already defined what word is. So no need to redefine it. Simply use the variable right over here, and no need to paste this whole thing, because when the program is running, this automatically gets evaluated to programming is fun. Okay? So for letter in Word, so for letter in this string over here, how many letters does this string have? I don't know, a lot. More than 10 probably. So the first time letter is P, the next time the letter is R, the next time it's O, G, blah, blah, blah. Then at one point the letter is going to be that little space in between programming and the word is. Then it's going to be I, and then it's S, and then the space in between the is and fun part. And the letter is going to go all the way up to being an exclamation mark, and then this loop is going to stop. When do we print out a letter? The only time we print out a letter is when the letter is equal to I. You see that? That's what this line 5 is. So we loop over and over and over again. If the letter is I, we print it out. And so that's it. So here it's going to print out I and print out I. So it's pretty simple. Okay, and if we wanted to get fancy, want to get real fancy, I bet they're gonna probably have you do something like this later on, but I'm gonna just show you this right now because we're cool like that. So on line 5, I'm gonna create a variable called counter or count, or let's call it counter, and what it's gonna do is it's going to keep track of the count of how many times we've seen the letter I. So here I'm going to say counter is equal to counter plus 1. So every time it loops and it sees the letter I, it'll go into this if block, and everywhere it sees counter, everywhere it sees an I, or once it sees an I, it's going to increment the variable counter by 1, right? So basically this is saying the old counter or the original counter is now equal to what counter actually was, plus 1, okay? Or rather, the new counter, this part here, is going to equal to what counter was or is plus 1. So this is going to change this counter's value, and then at the end of the loop we can simply print counter, okay? Or actually at the end of the loop, right? So I'm going to unindent it and put it right there. And let's see, where do we have an error? Inconsistent use of tabs and spaces. Okay, let's go here. Let's go here, make everything consistent. Okay, so why did that happen? Oh, sorry, this should actually be outside of the loop. You should run it, and you can see counter is now says it's 2. Okay, for every time it saw I. Cool, we got ahead of ourselves there, but no worries, it's all good. Owning a store. Alright, so now we own a store. Let's see what they want us to do. In this example, we create a new dictionary, animal counts, with 3 entries. Key ant, value 3, key bear, value 6, key crow, value 2, each of them separated by commas, as you can see. Create a new dictionary called prices using the dictionary format or the squiggly format like the example above. So we're going to create prices, and it's going to have put these values in your prices dictionary. I am a good programmer, is a lazy programmer. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to simply paste all this in there so I don't have to type it. We can call it prices is equal to blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And let's put this on, you know, just to make it nicer and easier to read. Okay, we can certainly put all of this on one line, but this is how I like to do it. So it's very easy to read what the dictionary prices is, and that's how you'll see it a lot of the times written in professional software development code. Yeah, this place is really expensive. Your supermarket subsidizes the zoo from the last course. Let's do this thing and start next lesson. Investing in stock. Create a stock dictionary with the values below. So we're going to call this dictionary, sorry, stock. So effectively, what we're doing is we have a dictionary called prices, and that's keeping track of how much a banana is and how much an apple is and how much an orange is. But in stock, what we're keeping track of is how many bananas do we have, how many apples do we have, and how many oranges do we have. Okay, so one is keeping price of the dollar amount of the thing, and the other one might be keeping track of the quantity amount. Okay, so stock is equal to this guy here, and I'm going to do it the same way, separated by commas, because if you don't separate it by commas, it's going to give you an error. So we got prices in stock. Cool, let's keep going, keeping track of the produce. So now they're getting fancy here a little bit. We'll talk through this one really quickly. Okay, so they created a dictionary called once, and then they created a dictionary called twice. This is an example that they're giving you, okay? We have a key A with the value 1, key B with the value 2, and in the dictionary twice, basically, you know, you see A is 2, B is 4. So what we're doing is for a key and once, so for each key inside the dictionary once, so the first time key is going to be A, then the next time is going to B. Okay, remember how we loop through? I'm going to print it out so you guys can see. Remember, when we loop through a dictionary, we access its keys every time. So the first time key is A, then the next time key is B. So for key and once, print key, right? That's what we did. But here's what they're showing us. Or here's the code that they have. Okay, so we go and the key is A and B. Now look, in twice, also notice that the keys are the same. It's A and B. So both of them have the same key. Now what we do here is once, so we print out once, and this %s is just a placeholder, and you can put in anything that you want there. So in our case, we're accessing the value of the key. So for example, the first time we iterate over this, we're gonna get for a in ones, 1 is gonna get evaluated to that dictionary up there. Okay, it's gonna get evaluated to this thing, which is the same thing as once. So when we go through the first key, then on line 6, what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the dictionary once and access key in our case is a the first time. So once a should give you back 1. So now because of this placeholder, this part here translates to a 1. Okay, and then this part pretty much goes away, and that gets printed out to the screen. So you're gonna get once colon 1. Then the next time we go, and then the same thing is gonna happen for the twice part of it. Okay, so twice key is gonna pass in a for it. This gets evaluated to 2, and for twice we're gonna have twice is 2 right there. Okay, then if we go all the way back, the second time in the loop of the dictionary once will access the key b. Then this will put b right here for the dictionary once, which will give you back the value 2. It will replace, because of the placeholder, this with 2. This part goes away, it'll print that out. It'll go into the twice key, put b right here. This part, because we're doing dictionary key, is going to give you back the value, which is going to be 4. It's going to replace this with a 4. This part is going to go away, and it's going to print that out. So now, hopefully, you have a little bit of understanding of what's going on. Let's run it here, and you can see once 1, twice 2, then once 2, twice 4. Okay. Again, their examples are weird. Right? Very forced. They could do much better than that. But they choose not to, so they can confuse you. Anyways, let's keep going. Maybe if I get endorsed by Codecademy and I'm talking all these bad things about them, they might be like, oh, we don't want you to be endorsed by us. In the above example, we create 2 dictionaries, once and twice, and now because we know that they have the same keys, we can loop through one dictionary and print values from both once and twice. So the trick here is notice that they both have the same key. So at the same loop, going through really one dictionary once, they know that they both have the same key, so they can print both of their stuff out. So the idea that they want you to take away from this is notice that the keys in prices and stock are the same, right? Keys and prices and stock are the same. So you can say for key in prices, print prices, so your dictionary key is going to give you back the value, and print prices, stock, dictionary stock, pass in the same keys, and you're going to get back the corresponding values. So the first time, if it's the key is banana, for prices it's going to print out 4, and for stock it's going to print out 6. Okay, but the first time the key was pear, so it printed out a 3, and pear stock is 15, so on and so forth. Okay, you can see all of that. Okay, let's continue moving on. Make sure you have exactly 3 print statements. Okay, so we have to actually do something. Loop through. So we wrote the loop. I'm going to copy that loop, right? Well, I didn't have to. There's more work copying it. I could have just wrote it. Loop through each key in prices. So we done that. For key in prices, just by itself does that. Like the example above, for each key, print out the key along with its price and stock information. Print the answer in the following format. So it should actually look like this. So here's what I'm going to say. Print, right? We want to print out what key it is. Now underneath the key, we want to print price, right? It should say price every time. That's why I'm putting it in a string. This is not a variable thing. Variable means something that changes. This is a hard-coded thing, and it should say price just like this with a colon after it. Now the next part of it is variable, so I'm going to put that %s as a placeholder. I'm going to put a % here, and I'm going to say give me the value here. from the dictionary prices. Prices, pass in my key. And effectively for the next one, I'm going to do pretty much the same thing, except the dictionary is going to be changed. It's going to be stock. And I'm going to say stock right over here. Okay. And if I save and submit, this should work just fine. So as you can see, we have an orange in our shop, and the price of that orange is $1.50. And in stock, we have 32 oranges left. As you can see in our next one, price pair, we have price 3 and stock 15, so on and so forth. So hopefully you get the idea. Let's keep rolling. Something of value. Paperwork, accounting, let's record the total value of your inventory. It's nice to know what we're worth. Okay, so we're going to create a variable called total and set it to 0. All right, total is equal to 0. Loop through the prices dictionaries for a key in prices. For each key in prices, multiply the number in prices by the number in stock. So what we're doing is we're like, let's say we have orange is 32. So we are going to be multiplying orange 32 with orange 1.5, which means we're multiplying 32 oranges with their price $1.50. That will tell you how much all your oranges are worth. So 32 times 1.5, that gives you 48, which means that if you sold all your oranges, you would have $48 left. Okay, you could do the same thing with, you have to do the same thing with pears and bananas. So you're finding what all of their values are pretty much. So for each key in prices, multiply the number in prices by the number in stock. Okay, so what I'm gonna say, and we have to add it to total. Okay, print that value into the console and then add it to totals. Okay, so prices key multiplied by the stock key, and then I'm gonna say total. Actually, there's a smarter way to do this. I'm gonna create a variable called value, and I'm gonna say print value, and I'm gonna say total is equal to what total. So new total is equal to what total was, which initially will be 0, plus value. Okay, so for example, if our key is banana, we would have banana right here. Then we would go to this part and we would look up the dictionary, and the dictionary would look up banana. We'd go all the way up to line 2. We'll see that the prices is 4, so this part is going to get evaluated to 4. We would look up banana in the stock dictionary. We would see that the quantity of that is 6, so we would get 4 times 6. 4 times 6 is 24. This part evaluates to 24. Now it would say print 24, and then it would say total is equal to 0 plus 24, which means total is equal to 24, which means that this total is also now equal to 24. This is how incrementing works. Now next time it's looping through, and let's say it is apple now. Now in okay, we gotta go back just so I have that code. The total was at 24. Let's remember that. Now we're gonna go again, and let's say this time it's apple in prices. We got we'll look up apple in prices, and we'll look up apple in stock. Apple's price is $2 or whatever currency you're in, and then apple stock is 0. 2 times 0 gives you 0. Value is 0, and total is equal to total plus value. This total is 24. Value is 0, and so this effectively stays at 24. And then we loop again. Okay, so I think you get the idea, and I will move on from this part now. Okay, and then finally outside your loop, print total. Okay, so outside the loop, right? If we keep it indented underneath the for loop, then it's going to keep looping over and over again. but we want to print out total only once, so we're going to keep it outside of the loop. Here you can see 48, 45, 24, and all of that stuff, and then total you see is $117, right? That's the total value of your store. Okay, not a very expensive, not a lot of money you're making there selling fruit, but hey, better than nothing. Shopping at the market, great work. Now we're going to take a step back from the management side and take a look through the eyes of the shopper. In order for customers to order online, we're going to have to make a consumer interface. Don't worry, it's easier than it sounds. So what we are going to be doing is we're going to make a list called groceries with the values banana, orange, and apple. Okay, that's cool, because remember I was creating a lot of stuff with groceries earlier, and I didn't even know about that they're going to be teaching you this, so this is exciting. Everything that I was foreshadowing is coming into play somehow. And I think we're going to keep this to be the last video of this. We're going to keep this section to be the last section of this tutorial, and then we'll continue after that. Why didn't we get tick marks for any of these? That's weird. Okay, so save and submit code. Let's do one more part, because that was very easy. Took no time at all. Oh, now they're getting into some big stuff right here. So what they're doing here is they defined a function. Whoops. So what they're doing here is defined a function called sum, which takes in as input I'm assuming it says numbers here, so I'm assuming it takes in a list of numbers. And then it keeps a counter variable like total right there. Then it goes for each number in the list numbers, increment total by that number. Increment, this is just like saying total plus number. So increment total by that number and then return total. So all it does is it goes 1, then it goes plus 2, so now total will be at 3. Then it will see that we have 5, so we'll do 3 plus 5, we'll get back 8. Then it'll say 8 plus 10 right here, we'll get back 18, and then it'll say that plus 13, and we'll get back 31, and then it'll return 31, and this part will print out 31, and then we're good to go. So let's now actually tangibly look at what might happen if we passed in this list n. So here we define this function, right? When you define a function, nothing happens, right? You just define it. So if I print out, nothing is going to get printed out. You have to call your function. It's just like saying if I defined a variable v is equal to 5. Well, that's not going to do anything in and of itself. I have to say print v or whatever. I have to call v, and then it shows me the value of what v is. So just like that, we have to call our function. But our function is dependent on a list of numbers. So here we're creating a list n, and we're giving it numbers 1, 2, 5, 10, and 13. So we're calling our function sum, and we're passing in this list over here. So what's effectively happening is it comes to this here, it puts in that list. Now it goes, boom, I've initialized total to 0. Let's get going. This numbers is 1, 2, 5, 10, 13. The first time we loop through, number is 1. So total gets incremented. This is a shorthand for the incremental notation. It gets incremented by 1. So effectively, this total here becomes 1. Then the loop goes again, and it goes, okay, now I'm 2. So what I'm going to do is, so this part here says number, right? So now this part is 2, and so total gets incremented by 2, and we get 3 here. Then it becomes 5, it gets incremented by 5, this becomes 8, and once all that happens, it's finally 13, this part is finally 13. Total gets incremented by 13, so at that point, whatever it is, something like 31, and you return 31. So what you've done is you've taken this whole list and added it all up, and that's how you return 31. Makes sense? If you do 1 plus 2 plus 5 plus 10 just to double check, you indeed get 31, and so will your function. So let's call our function now with the given list, and let's see if it gives us back 31. Print Python 3, print is a function, you have to put parentheses after it, and we indeed do get 31. So define a function. Anytime there's a define a function, we write def compute bill, takes one argument food as input in the function, create a variable total with initial value 0 for each item in the list. For each, every time I hear for each, I'm writing a for loop for each item in the list. So item in food, or in shopping list, I assume. Right, this variable right here, shopping list, that's where I'm getting that from. And item is just an arbitrary variable. You can call it whatever you want. I'm gonna call it item. And I have to put a colon and hit enter after that, don't forget. Add the price of the item to total. So I'm going to say, I'm gonna use the prices. So I'm gonna take the variable total and I'm gonna increment it using the shorthand notation. And to get the price of that item, so here banana, orange, and apple, well, which dictionary am I gonna look up the price in of that item? In stock? No, I'm gonna look it up in prices. So I'm going to call the prices dictionary, pass in that item as a key, and I'm gonna be incrementing total by that. And then it says return total. So after we are done with that, it's going to return total. So the first time is going to be banana, and then it's going to look up banana in the dictionary, and it's going to increment this by 4. Then it'll look up orange. It's going to be orange in the shopping list. It's going to come down here. It's going to look up orange in the prices. That whole part is going to get evaluated to 1.5. This is going to get incremented by 1.5. So this is now going to be, what was it? 4. So now it's going to be 5.5, and it's going to maybe return that, right? Or add apple and then return it. Okay, cool. So let's take a look at how this works. Compute bill apple returned something incorrect. Let's see what we did wrong. Note that your function should work for any food list. Let's see why it returned a wrong answer. I have total here. I loop through. I use the key to access that item. I increment total by that, and then once the loop is over, I return the total. So once it passed it apple, for some reason it returned. Oh, I see. I'm being silly. I should not be using, okay, so this is a common mistake that beginners made and apparently I've made. That's what happens when you're live coding. You make a lot of silly mistakes, but it's okay because it's part of a learning experience. What I forgot to notice is it's a function, so we're taking in food as a parameter. So I'm not gonna hard code and put this shopping list on line 1, from line 1. I should actually put food here. This way, you don't have to give me this exact list. You could be giving me a different list. For example, if you gave me a list like this, my code should work fine. But if you also gave me a list with just one item, apple, the code should also work fine. But in this case, shopping list, if you use this function, compute bill, and you try to pass in a list with, like, let's say just apple, well, what's going to happen is that it's going to still be using the shopping list and not what you actually gave me as input. So silly little mistake there. Let's fix that with food, and that should be now golden. Okay, perfect. This is it for this video. Guys, please, if you get a chance, we've just reached 100 subscribers. We're actually 1 subscriber over that. So thank you guys for your support and for watching this tutorial. It does take a lot of time for me to prepare these and give you guys high quality. I love your guys' comments and feedback. Please ask any questions you want, right? This is just, you're getting, I'm pretty fast replying, so I will help you guys out with whatever you need. And keep following the channel, subscribe if you get a chance. This is Kazi from cleverprogrammer.com, and I will see you in Codecademy Part 11. See you there.